before the events that take place in The Lord of the Rings, there is a shorter story, a prequel, called The Hobbit. And The Hobbit is actually a different category of story than The Lord of the Rings. It's a children's book. And so many people often ask, do I need to read this before I read The Lord of the Rings? Lots of people have read The Lord of the Rings without ever reading The Hobbit. It's not necessary. There's so much backstory to The Lord of the Rings that is never explained, but I will explain to you in this class, that, being not having the backstory of The Hobbit, you won't be left in the dark. However, it is a lovely, enjoyable, sweet children's story that is a great adventure. So if you are signing up for this course and you have a little bit of time before we actually begin reading The Lord of the Rings, I would say absolutely take the time to read it. It's really fun to read, much more kind of easy to digest and accessible. I'd recommend getting a copy that has Tolkien's gorgeous illustrations in it, if you can. So it's worth reading. And there's one chapter in particular that is especially worth reading beforehand because it does set the stage for the events that will unfold in The Lord of the Rings. And this is chapter 5. It's called Riddles in the Dark. It's when you meet the creature Gollum. That's all I'll say. So if nothing else, I'd say read that one chapter. It works out of context. It's a little like you've been dropped into the middle of a world, but it'll give you the necessary kind of backstory. There is a recording available on YouTube of Tolkien himself reading this chapter and doing Gollum's very unique voice. Gollum is a figure who has maybe found no correlate anywhere else in literature. He's totally unique. So that is an enjoyable experience, listening to Tolkien himself reading this one chapter, Riddles in the Dark, and doing the voices of Bilbo and Gollum. So I do recommend checking that out if you can. And then the way that we're going to move through the story in the course is we will have essentially 6 modules. There'll be 7 live sessions. So we'll have an introductory class where we'll all have an opportunity to meet, and I'll introduce myself and the material, give you a sense of what you need to do going forward in reading this book. For example, I always suggest skip the forward to the second edition, skip the prologue, just start right at chapter 1. Just get right into the heart of the story itself. All that front matter, you'll be much more interested in it when you're finished. So we'll have that introductory live class, and then we'll have 6 modules where you'll read. The Lord of the Rings itself is actually divided into 6 books. It's typically sold either in 1 volume, because it's 1 novel, or 3 volumes. The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. Those are 3 volumes, but it's 1 novel. It's not a trilogy. And each of those volumes is divided into 2 books. So The Lord of the Rings is comprised of 6 books. So we have 6 modules. So the first module, you'll read book 1 of the Fellowship of the Ring. You'll listen to the lecture where I'll be guiding you through it and giving you backstory and translations and hopefully some interesting insights and so forth. And then we'll come together at the end of that module for a live session. You can bring your questions and insights and revelations and the gems from the story. We'll have a chance to talk that through for 90 minutes, and then you'll go off for the next 2 weeks. You'll read the next book and listen to the next lecture. So that will be our pattern, and it'll take us 12 weeks to read the entirety of The Lord of the Rings, which it's about a 1,000-page book, so it's a good pacing. I think at that pace you can read about a chapter an evening, which is the best way to read it. Read a chapter of The Lord of the Rings before you go to bed, dream on it, see what emerges, and every 2 weeks we'll be talking about what you're discovering in that world.